Before they reach the bottom where fossils would be, they face one more perilous obstacle, a thick layer of poisonous hydrogen sulfide. The naturally orange-tinted solution is actually the excrement of billions of tiny bacteria. They eat organic material, then excrete hydrogen sulfide, forming another deadly barrier to blue hole exploration. The divers can't protect themselves from this poison because it enters through their skin. Here, at about 150 milligrams per cubic meter, hydrogen sulfide makes the divers' lips tingle and smells like rotten eggs. But prolonged exposure may cause brain damage, so they've got to kick through it fast. Once on the other side, they reach the oxygen-free zone. It's here that the bones of animals that fell into the blue hole should be preserved.
We're dealing with sort of an aquatic tar pit. Animals get in there, and as they die, they sink down into the part of the water that has no oxygen in it. Because that water has no oxygen in it, there's nothing to support the microorganisms, the bacteria and fungus and things like that, that normally would decay bones.
Prospecting for fossils in a blue hole takes a delicate touch. Even gentle probing can stir up the silt, which could create a dangerous blackout. As he probes, Brian makes a find. It's a shell, the shape of some kind of tortoise. The oxygen-free layer doesn't preserve skin or muscle, but it does maintain shell and bone in almost pristine condition. About 6 meters away, he finds a bone from another creature. It's a piece of backbone. But whose? And then, up from the muck, comes the answer. A 30-centimeter long skull loaded with teeth. It's an ancient crocodile, so perfect it looks like it's been kept in a museum. Large animals like these don't exist in the Bahamas today. These finds are evidence that there may have been a lost world here. With these prizes in hand, the team follows the line deeper into the cave. In this part of Sawmill Sink, the cave opens up. Thousands of years ago, when sea levels were lower, this soaring hall was dry and would have made a perfect home for birds. Today, the divers can actually swim up to a ledge where birds might have roosted and start scouting for fossils. On the ledge, they find a bowl-shaped roost. Below it, they set up a grid surrounding a field of tiny bones of many different types. This suggests that the bird roosting here was an owl. The bones are the remains of what he was eating. Since they can't digest bones, owls collect them in their crop and vomit them out in a clump called a pellet. This is a fossil gold mine. The bones of lizards, snakes, bats, and small birds. A census of life here, thousands of years ago. It will delight David Steadman, waiting for the divers to return.
Got it. Wait.
Right.
I can't wait to open these up. Let's see what you have.
There may be some associated bones in the sediment that's in the container there too, so we'll be careful with that sediment.
Okay, got it. Oh, wow.
Look at that
Look
tortoise.
at that.
It's complete. Complete tortoise.
This is cool.
Steadman has a hunch there's a link between the tortoise and the crocodile.
There's no way, once a tortoise would fall in here, that it's ever going to get out. There's no exit. And you can imagine a crocodile go in to eat the tortoise, and after it ate the tortoise, the crocodile couldn't crawl out of this sinkhole either.
This is so neat. No one has ever seen this animal before. We're the first ones that actually get to touch it and feel it and study it and know that there was something special going on here. Can you imagine what this place once was? Having crocodiles running around here?
When Steadman examines the tortoise shell, he makes an astonishing find. Bite marks from a crocodile prove his hunch was right.
This is the sort of thing that makes the fossils from these blue holes so spectacular. To have this kind of evidence, not just of what this animal looked like, not just of what the crocodile looked like, but evidence of who is eating who.
Then he turns to the finds from near the owl roost.
This is sort of the sediment sample of my dreams.
Never has owl vomit looked so good.
All of a sudden, we have a number of complete skeletons to study. We're finding species that nobody knew existed before.
With each bone he identifies, the picture of an ancient, wild Bahamas is starting to emerge.
The three largest bones are the three major leg bones of a flightless rail, an undescribed species of flightless rail, unknown to science.
This new species joins the crocodile and tortoise as the list of animals found in Sawmill Sink grows. A lizard, a meadowlark, and a burrowing owl, a Bahamian boa constrictor, and a raptor called a kara kara. From just a single bag of sediment, Steadman identifies 35 species previously unknown here. 3 are entirely new to science. It's clear that centuries ago, the barren islands of the Bahamas weren't so barren. So what happened?
The bones I've picked out so far, every one of them represents a species of bird that isn't on the island anymore. Based on just this tiny sample, it looks like we're on our way to documenting a pretty drastic change.
About 1,000 years ago, most of these animals mysteriously disappeared. A fossil trail extending back roughly 12,000 years suddenly goes cold. What killed these animals off? In 1492, when Christopher Columbus first made landfall in this hemisphere, it was in the Bahamas. He encountered a people called the Lucayans. The Lucayans descended from people that came from South America around 800 BC and slowly migrated to the Bahamas. At the time, Columbus wrote almost nothing about their rituals or traditions. What little we know today suggests that they thought blue holes were sacred. They believed caves were the birthplace of humankind, and that when someone died, they should be put back inside. In the early 1990s, in a blue hole called Sanctuary on Andros Island, a diver found human remains that may have been related to the Lucayans' ritual burial. Following up on that lead, the team will search for more remains, beginning at Sanctuary. They'll try to determine if there's a link between the Lucayans and the animal die-off that occurred about 1,000 years ago.
Our goal was to go down there, look for those identifying signs that there are bones, skulls, hopefully, recover that and document it all.
Joining the team is Michael Pateman, who'll be the first Bahamian and the first archaeologist to dive this hole.
I've been looking forward to this since I started archaeology. It's the mystery of the site. It's what can I find? I want to know what's here.
There you go.
Keep your hand right.
Once on the line, the team begins their descent to the point in the cave where, 20 years ago, a diver found human remains. The team is still on their way down to the bone discovery site. On their way down, the team passes through what's called the halocline. This is where fresh water above meets salt water below. Soon, at 80 meters, they're just above the slope where human bones were found and face another potential danger. The surrounding rocks indicate there's been a massive cave-in.
That kind of stuff goes on at a site all the time where you have chunks coming down. And we're swimming over boulders the size of houses, and you know they came from the ceiling.
They know it will happen again, they just don't know when. It's one more detail that makes working in a blue hole more dangerous than any other type of marine archaeology.
Archaeology in open water, if you have a problem, you can do immediate ascent up to the surface. If you need to haul material up, it goes straight up to the surface. You can't do any of that in an underwater cave.
In spite of the challenges, it pays off, with first a human jawbone, and then a skull. For Bahamian archaeologist Michael Pateman, the find leaves its mark.
To finally actually go in the site and to see the site, I thought, wow, I can spend hours in here. And to have been the first Bahamian to dive in that blue hole was just, it's still not sunk in completely yet.
By the end of the dive, the team has recovered pieces of 3 skulls. But critical questions remain. Are they connected to the catastrophic die-off of animals here? And could these skulls belong to the Lucayans, the same people Columbus wrote about? Pateman identifies a deformity in the skulls that seems to confirm their identity.
When they were children, the Lucayans bound the foreheads and the backs with boards and then wrap them. And so that would create this, what you see here, this conical shape.
It's a characteristic found only in cultures like that of the Lucayans. And when the skulls are radiocarbon dated, there's an even bigger revelation.